Would you be so kind and introduce Melco Group for us?
Sure.
At the beginning.
Yes, Melco is one of the first listed company in Hong Kong. We are better known for our gaming and entertainment business in Macau in particular. We have a large, well, in fact just recently completed a large integrated resort called City of Dreams over there, and that is one of our flagship development there. But in fact, over the last 2-3 years, the company has diversified both geographically and also in terms of its business sectors it operates in. But still circle around the entertainment and leisure business. We are moving into China. We are moving into the new skiing phenomenon in the northeast of the country. And over the last 18 months, we've built some 2 major ski resorts up in the northeast, namely the Yabuli Resort near Harbin and the Beidai one near Changchun. So slowly, the company is diversifying into other parts of the country and also across in Southeast Asia, and but still very much working in the leisure industry.
Thanks. If we're thinking about entertainment and leisure, how would you describe the link from entertainment and leisure to retail?
We certainly see, retail in these days will not operate in a complete vacuum. People will have a day out for experience, and retail and shopping, experience will become very much part of it. We see the kind of leisure resort experience will actually help and enhance the shopping experience. And say even for we mix it up with gaming and casino business, because we also see the luxury end of market that we could tap onto, with the profile of our clientele. So it's a kind of very much a mixed experience that would enhance and build synergy among all these activities.
It's very interesting. Could you provide us some examples of projects, maybe in the gaming industry, maybe something, if there is, in the classical retail?
Let's say, let's take the City of Dreams, as a recent example. This is as I just mentioned earlier, is a very much an integrated resort destination, or an entertainment destination. We are particularly keen on actually in the design and planning stage, very much kind of mix the various elements within the complex and tightly integrate them into one. Say for instance, you can actually walk into the casino, the large gaming hall, and then you will see retail outlets selling luxury items just almost by the side of the gaming hall. So it's a kind of very seamless integration, rather than typically you will have a casino hall and then a shopping center as an annex to the complex. What we've done is we integrate all the experience together, and in particular the other aspects of entertainment as well. I mean, within the complex we have large audio-visual, visual display show, and it's all part of the experience. Later in the year, we'll be opening up a large water theme show, in a 2,000-seat auditorium, and that element is also, well integrated in the complex. So it's a kind of all singing, all dancing experience, and retail and entertainment and the gaming industry is all integrated into one.
If we're looking at this in China in particular, how would you say this differs? What makes these integration processes particular adapted to China? As I believe there should be some difference.
Sure. I think this is slowly coming into China. I mean, up until this point, we see retail centers springing up either in a very urban city center location, with a standalone store, or a kind of suburban in a suburban context. I think slowly we will see the appearance of all these integrated entertainment complex together. But in particular in China, I would guess the entertainment business or the particular I mean, obviously, in China there won't be a lot of gaming experience, but things like ski resorts. I mean, in ski resorts, for example, we actually see the hotel and the spa facilities all integrated into the components. So that would be, I mean, that could be slightly adjusted, obviously, to the local market. For instance, in our ski resort, we have all these, in China, very familiar, phenomenon like the massage facilities. We see that well integrated with our resort. So it's all part of the experience, but with a particular Chinese element into it.
Yes, I think that's very interesting to giving this Chinese element in there. If you're looking at the particular adaptation to China, could you give us examples for definite do's and definite don'ts? Things that will work in China and things that definitely won't work in China?
Well, we are still in a very kind of exploratory and experiment stage. We just can't. I mean, at this very moment, I wouldn't say we will rule a lot of things out. I think that's still very much in a kind of experimentation stage. I just can't think of any other facilities or entertainment complex would be appealing to the local market. Cinema is definitely it's a good which is will be a very good mix to shopping centers, which we have seen success elsewhere in other parts of the world. But maybe, I mean, China is a vast country. Maybe there's also regional variation, from the north and the south, in particular, in response to the climatic, variations. We are actually working on a project up in the northeast in very, very severe winter, conditions. So we anticipate a lot of the indoor activities and indoor entertainment, which will be very much unique, to that part of the world. To answer your question is, a lot of, let's say, outdoor alfresco type of dining, F&B activities may not bought too well, in that part of of China. I mean, I'm talking about places like Dalian, talking about Harbin, where in fact, the major most of the existing shopping facilities are buried underground anyway. So that even that kind of very kind of outdoor linking indoor outdoor type of store shopping center design may not be strictly be relevant even within China. So that's, I think what we are saying is trying to adapt both the cultural aspects and also the climatic aspects.
Yes. And if we're looking at the differences all over China, I think there's one big common denominator in various different flavors. I think this is food.
Yes.
And if we're looking at food, could you comment on the importance of food and integrated food solution in retail environments?
That's a very good point. I mean, one experience we had from our ski resorts up in the northeast is we certainly find the kind of our North American, parallels would not work well, in that part of China, because in say for instance what we find in the F&B menu, for instance, is those kind of cold buffet items do not sell well, in those situations, and our customers are always asking for hot soup, hot noodles, and very Oriental flavor.
Yes.
Rather than the standard kind of Western menu that is on offer. So yes, I mean even that actually affects to the design of the restaurants and the mix and the trade mix within the resort. We actually have to put a lot of high percentage of Oriental and Chinese restaurants in those locations. So yeah, that's a very
Yes.
good illustration, of the different, in terms of the different taste in the F&B and context.
Yes. I couldn't agree more. Finding the right balance in China to make an offer and proposition attractive to the consumer is quite challenging. If we look at the international retailers that came into China, there's clearly a distinction between the successful ones and the not successful ones. If we look at these, what makes the successful ones successful? What did they do right, design and environment-wise, looking at the retail environment? And what were the strong mistakes, the failed ones, so to say, did?
I think, I'm not expert in this subject, but as an observer, I can also see a lot with depending on the timing. I mean, for instance, I can only maybe I speak about experience in, let's say, 10, 15 years, well, more than that actually, going back 20 years ago, when outlets like, let's say, Kentucky Fried Chicken, if I can mention the name.
I was
No
a
conversion.
bleep it over. Yes.
They venture into the South China market without any success, because at the time we feel that particular food on offering has not been we're just not accustomed by the local taste. But if you look at what they are doing now, I think they are they're becoming very popular. So it's a lot of depending on the timing of entry and going back. I mean, I was listening to one of the speakers this morning talking about one of the most well-known global brand of coffee, and they were saying they will still need to make a lot of adjustments to local tastes. The average cappuccino or the average latte that might sell well in the West, they might have to constantly look for conversion and innovation entering into this market. And to cite another example, you see another fast food outlet let's say in Hong Kong. They have a very kind of unique Hong Kong menu. Very things like rice, which rice dishes, you would never see them repeated in the West, let alone even in the other parts of Southeast Asia, let alone in the West. But then again, that menu, you wouldn't find it here in Shanghai or in Beijing. So even if you're talking about a global brand, I'm sure you still need to make a lot of local adaptations, to local taste.